Your hair looked fine this morning. Or so you thought. Stand closer to the mirror. Something is off, and you feel it even if you cannot name it. That feeling has a name, and in the next few minutes, you are going to understand it completely for the first time. You are not someone who stopped caring. You still try. You still pay attention to what you put on your head every morning, what your stylist says, what the magazines suggest. And yet, there is this quiet, nagging sense that the cut you have right now is not doing what you need it to do for your face. Not this decade. Not anymore. Here is the part nobody says plainly. Some haircuts that used to work beautifully are now working against your bone structure in ways that add 4 to 6 years to how your face reads in any light. Not because of your face. Because of the cut. There is one specific technique I am going to cover in part 3 that most stylists never explain. And once you hear it, you will understand why certain cuts keep aging you no matter how good your color or skincare is. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and youth-boosting fixes for mature women, so you get simple, proven transformations that work immediately. Today we are covering 3 haircuts that will make you look 10 years younger, and 3 you should avoid. And by part 2, you are going to want to stop and look in the mirror. I mean it. Part 1 opens with the mistake I see on almost every woman I speak to. Part 4 has a before and after fix so specific it almost feels unfair that nobody said it sooner. If you have not already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week. Part 1. The blunt bob trap. Why the cut most women reach for is quietly working against them. You have been in that chair before. You ask for a clean, classic bob, jaw length, blunt edge, because it feels polished, controlled, safe. And it is. Technically, it is a beautiful cut. But here is what nobody sitting across from you in that salon is going to say out loud. After 60, a blunt jaw-length bob is one of the most aging cuts you can choose. And most women wearing one have no idea it is happening. This is the one a friend of mine heard and immediately called her stylist to cancel her appointment. The reason the blunt jaw-length bob ages you is precise. The hard horizontal line sits right at the widest part of the jaw. It draws the eye across the face at the heaviest point, which flattens the cheekbones and pulls the visual weight of the entire face downward. Your cheeks read heavier. Your jawline reads squarer. And your cheekbones, those gorgeous, defining features that give your face its architecture, disappear behind the visual noise of that straight edge. Write this one down. There is a reason this is the hardest mistake to spot on yourself. Because when you look straight into the mirror, the bob looks sharp, clean, intentional. It is only in photographs, in natural light, in the way people look at you in conversation, that you begin to sense it is not quite working. By then you have already been wearing it for months. The fix is not dramatic. You do not need to cut it all off. You need to ask your stylist for 2 things. First, add long layers starting at the cheekbone, not choppy, long and flowing. And second, bring the length just past the collarbone. That ½ inch of extra length changes the geometry of the entire cut. Instead of drawing the eye across the jaw, the layers now draw the eye diagonally downward and outward. Your cheekbones re-emerge. Your neck looks longer. Your jawline reads softer. If you are still reaching for that blunt jaw-length bob, swap it for a layered long bob, that falls just past the collarbone with face-framing layers beginning at the cheekbone. That single change can take years off your face before you change a single thing about your makeup, your color, or your skincare. Maintenance note. Ask your stylist to dust the ends every 8 weeks. The layered lob only stays youthful when the layers are fresh. The moment they grow out into a single length line again, the aging effect returns. What I am covering in the next part. Most women find it even harder to hear, but it is the one that matters most. Part 2, the mushroom cut and the volume myth. The mistake hiding inside the most popular advice. Bold truth. The most well-meaning advice about hair for women over 60 is responsible for one of the most aging cuts in every salon today. You have heard it endlessly. Volume is everything. Lift at the root is youth. Go shorter and rounder for fullness. And that advice is not wrong. The delivery of it, however, has created a cut that is quietly doing serious damage to the way mature women's faces read. It is called the mushroom cut, and there is a chance you are wearing one right now without knowing it has a name. The mushroom cut is defined by one thing. Hair that curves inward and sits heavily on the sides of the head with no movement and no layering. It is round at the crown, it closes in at the sides, and it ends bluntly at or above the ear. On paper it sounds like it creates fullness. In practice, it does the opposite. It creates the visual illusion of a larger, rounder head sitting on a smaller neck and narrower shoulders. It isolates the face inside a wall of hair instead of framing it. And this specific combination is pulling the eye away from your bone structure and flattening your entire face in a way that adds years you have not lived yet. This is the one thing I wish someone had told me to look for before I spent 18 months in a cut that was doing exactly this. There is something specific about the mushroom cut that nobody in this space talks about, and that is the nape. The hair curling inward at the nape is actually what triggers the aging. It shortens the visible neck length, which compresses the upper body, which makes the face red lower and heavier. One small shift changes this entirely. The swap is specific. Ask your stylist for a textured pixie or a tapered shortcut with a clean open nape, meaning the hair at the back of the neck lies flat and tapers rather than curling inward. The difference in neck length visibility alone changes how your face reads in every photo. Add soft, feathered layers on the crown for movement rather than solid rounded volume. The weight is lifted. The face is framed. The neck reappears. Yes, that's simple. If you are still wearing a rounded, inward curving shape at the nape, swap it for a tapered shortcut with an open nape and feathered crown layers. You are not losing volume. You are repositioning it. And repositioning it at the crown rather than the sides is what lifts your entire face in every light. Coming up next, the one swap that takes 30 seconds to describe to your stylist and changes how your entire jawline reads on camera. Part 3. The layered cut that adds 10 years versus the one that removes them. Knowing the difference. Have you ever walked out of a salon feeling like something was better, but not right? The stylist gave you layers. You asked for layers. And yet the fullness you pictured is not there, and something about your face looks slightly more tired than when you walked in. That gap between what you asked for and what you received has a specific cause. And once you understand it, you will never leave a salon chair without knowing exactly what question to ask. Most women over 60 are told to add layers for volume and movement, and that is correct advice. The problem is that not all layers are the same, and the most common layering technique used in salons today for mature women is the one most likely to age them. It is called uniform layering, and it is the single most invisible mistake in this entire video. Uniform layering means the stylist cuts identical layer lengths throughout the entire head. Same distance from the scalp, same angle, top to bottom. It creates texture. It creates some movement. But it does not create lift at the cheekbone. It does not create face-framing light-catching sections. And it does not address the specific structural needs of mature hair. Uniform layers on mature hair tend to lie flat at the crown and frizz at the ends, which is exactly the opposite of what every woman over 60 is asking for. This one is everything. There is a specific technique called disconnected face framing, and a colorist I have spoken to described it as the single most underused tool for women over 60 in mainstream salons. It means cutting 2 or 3 specific sections of hair at the front of the face at a different, shorter length than the rest of the cut. These sections are not blended into the rest of the layers. They are intentionally separated, disconnected, so that they fall forward across the cheekbone and catch light independently. The result is a halo of brightness around your face that draws the eye upward and inward toward your eyes and cheekbones rather than downward toward the jaw. When you sit down in that chair, the sentence you want to say is this: I want face framing pieces disconnected at the cheekbone, not blended in, kept separate so they fall forward. That sentence alone changes the entire outcome. Your stylist knows exactly what it means. And the result, that halo of light around your bone structure, is the specific thing you have been trying to achieve without having the words for it. Swap uniform layers throughout for disconnected face framing pieces at the cheekbone. Swap length that all falls at the same angle for a cut that has intentional weight variation. Lighter at the face, fuller at the back. Maintenance note: have your face framing pieces trimmed at every appointment. They grow out faster than the rest of the cut and lose their separation within 8 to 10 weeks. The next mistake is the one I see most often, and the most costly one to leave too long. Part 4. The 3 cuts that add years and the 3 that remove them. Your complete reference. Let me say something that I want you to carry with you after this video ends. The cuts that age you are not doing it because of your age. They are doing it because of geometry, because of where lines fall on a face that has changed, beautifully, powerfully, in ways that deserve to be honored. Your bone structure at 60 is more defined, more architectural, more quietly striking than it was at 30. The right cut reveals that. The wrong one obscures it. That is the entire story. And you deserve to walk into every salon knowing which is which. Here is your complete reference. 3 cuts to leave behind, and 3 to walk into your next appointment asking for by name. Avoid the blunt jaw-length bob. It draws a hard horizontal line at the widest point of the jaw, flattens the cheekbones, and adds visual weight in exactly the wrong direction. Avoid the mushroom cut, rounded crown, inward nape, heavy sides, because it shortens the visible neck and compresses the entire upper face. Avoid the one-length cut at or above the shoulder with no layering whatsoever. It removes all movement from the hair, leaving the face without the soft framing light it needs to look alive and three-dimensional in any photograph. I watched a woman in a salon chair last month. Extraordinary cheekbones, perfect posture. The kind of face that photographs beautifully, and she had been wearing a one-length collarbone cut for 3 years because it felt safe. She kept asking her stylist to just keep the shape. She did not know that the shape was the problem. Now, the 3 cuts that give you back years you thought were gone. First, the layered lob past the collarbone with disconnected face framing pieces at the cheekbone. It is the most versatile, rejuvenating cut for women over 60 across almost every face shape. Second, the tapered short cut with a clean open nape and feathered crown layers. For women who love short hair, this is the version that lifts rather than compresses. And third, the soft shag, longer layers with curtain bangs or a swept side section and plenty of movement at the ends. The shag specifically is having a significant moment for mature women right now because it creates exactly the kind of lived-in, effortless texture that reads as vital and modern without looking like you are trying to be 20 again. There is one thing about the shag that nobody in this space talks about plainly, and I want it to be the thing you remember from this video. The shag is the only cut that simultaneously addresses thinning hair, visible scalp at the crown, and facial framing in a single appointment. The layers redistribute weight across the head, so that thin sections are never left isolated and exposed. If thinning hair has been part of your story, the shag is worth a very specific conversation with your stylist at your next visit. That is next. You just learned exactly which 3 cuts are working against your bone structure, and exactly which 3 are built to reveal it. And you did it in one sitting. Boom, your cheekbones were always this striking. Now your cut will show them. Tell me in the comments. Which of these cuts were you wearing without knowing what it was doing to your face? I read every single one. Next time, we are getting into the one accessory mistake that is quietly adding 10 years overnight. And it is almost certainly sitting in your wardrobe right now. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I will see you in the next one.